Welcome to this podcast, Mission GJ. At this time, we have our Apostle Erickson Salazar and leader Alfie Lorenzo. How good we are here flowing in the prophetic for the house. That's right, leader Alfie. How you doing? I'm doing well. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the chance to be a guest. Everything is well, thank you. Very happy to be here. Good, good.
Muy bien, muy bien.
And we are extremely happy to have you here and to enjoy all the experiences that you've had here with Apostle Erickson and the ministry, which there are many. There's a lot of contribution. So we'd like to enjoy also and learn about one of your experiences here with Apostle. Tell us. Sure. Wow, yeah. If I think about experiences that I've been a part of, beside, and they're countless because the number of years plugged in here are many. But within the many experiences, I believe that one of the ones that has impacted me the most, or that made me see what it means to have spiritual battle in the kingdom, or how entities arise, it was through one of the experiences we had in the production of Rosh Hashanah. It was amazing because everything seemed to be flowing in a good way until the last minute when we were about to transmit. Everything got stuck, everything froze, and there was no logical explanation as to why everything just got blocked. It was a moment of a lot of war, and even in post-production and in general, there were so many things coming up, and it seemed like it seemed illogical, like, okay, where is this coming from? And there was no explanation. And that's where I was able to see something that the apostle always says, that sometimes when he tries to communicate with me or with somebody else, he prays so that the air can be freed up, because he knows that there's a lot that are happening. He knows that there's a lot of spiritual battle. So sometimes we took it lightly, but after I went through all this, I said, wow, now I'm understanding truly what it means that our battle is not against flesh and blood. Those things that Apostle used to say, it's like they were becoming more evident. It's not the same for you to read something or you go through something. For you to finally experience what you have been taught for so many years, when those things become real. So that was very impactful. As always, everything seems so simple. And I always have to break it down for everybody. They leave their mess and then they step back. They step away. He's saying something that it's one of the things that I've always said, that we make God's glory greater, but we don't give credit to the battles and the battles and the blocks that come up. He's bringing something up which is valid, because even though he's been with us for many years, especially in the area of TV, externally and also internally, and now even more in the ministerial, I know that he he united to, in working with the Rosh Hashanah project, and people enjoy it and people are delighted, but people have no idea the fires behind, the fires, the work of a lot of children of God fighting. The general coordinator, which is Pastor Jonah Meran, who's been part of that project for many years as the head, the struggles that they go through. For me, I'm more the executive, so I'm vigilant, but I know it's not easy. I'm vigilant, not of Satan, but of them. It's watching them. Like, okay, what's up? Listening to the voice of the Spirit, like, okay, call this person. Okay, go, rise up and go. Advance forward, move forward. It's good because at least they have, Lewis says, at least they have the helping hand, And Apostle says, yes, I'm there as an executive person, sponsoring, but there's a fire that each one of them goes through. And I tend to pick up the phone and call, and they tell me, okay, I'm struggling with this, but it's in every aspect. It's a physical battle, supernatural spiritual moves in the physical, attacks. But in Alfie Lorenzo's case, he's talking as a professional with more than 2 decades in TV. He's seen things. This is a guy that has experience in TV, and he can explain some of these things. He's like, but we did this properly, we followed the proper measures, but then this ends up happening at the end. And he's saying, I have no explanation for it. So I enjoy that this happens, because now I realize that finally he's respecting this. Now I understand why he's valuing me more. Because it's like they say, it's not the same hearing of something than seeing it for yourself. And when he found himself in that situation, he starts understanding. If I tell you all of it, if I tell you what happens truly behind the scenes, people wouldn't be able to take it. And to unite forces and say, okay, let's go back and let's record everything again. It's a matter of a body. That I know each one of us put a seed to strengthen the faith of each person. Because this sort of thing, to bring them to me, for them to say, Apostle, everything got lost, everything got erased, everything froze. They pray, they fast before bringing this to me, because they know. They surrender before God. What are we going to tell this man about this? How are we going to do this? And when they come to me with this chaos without solution. Because they try everything before coming to me, because you can come to me with a problem. And when they come to me with a problem, the way that they came, I heard the voice of the Spirit that said, don't say anything so that you don't have a heart attack and just drop dead right here. It's not a lie. I'm honest. I'm being honest. If you react, you'll die right there. These are darts. This is for you to know that these events, like Rosh Hashanah, this is a battle with principalities and powers that don't want us to decree what is that prophetic act. So the back team, the backstage team, the machine behind, which before was 2, then 4, then 5, then 10, now 20, then 30, and 50, now 100, now 200. Now we're a multitude that are fighting, because I don't take credit away from the one that is in the country doing their dinner, or the ones that are in the city, because even the ones in the city fight so that the one in the country can connect. No, I'm going to send you the elements in a bus. I'm going to do. There are people that send for other members of the body in other countries so that they don't fall behind. From one state to the other, come to my house, we'll do it together. We do everything here. Everybody does everything. And that is why this is an army of people that you could literally, Alfie, who's part of, an entertainment industry, this is like a great movie script. The same way like they have, like they have Christmas movies. We can share one that says Rosh Hashanah Day. And then the story of each life of those that don't have the elements, those that, everything gets stuck, and those that face situations, critical situations. And then those that watch the movie, Luis says, would say, this is science fiction. This is science fiction. That's a lie. You just ruined the movie for me because you just ruined the movie for me. I thought it was a drama, but you're right. It's science fiction, Apostle says. Now we're going to have special effects. But I tell you that a few days before, everything that comes up in terms of the production and what people go through, everyone, I repeat, I don't give credit to the battles. I just didn't know that Alfie was going to bring this up, but since he brought it up, I'm just paraphrasing a little bit. But at the same time, I'm not just talking about the team of production and TV and the coordinators. No, we're also talking about the machinery behind that gives support, logistics of food, transportation. It's a lot. Multimedia, the translators, interpreters, everyone that has to do with the outfit and makeup. But all those at home. All the battles, we had a podcast here about people sharing their experiences in their countries. Of course, we couldn't talk to all of them because it was the middle of the night in some countries. But the truth is that everyone has battled. Now we're talking about the internal. And like Alfie said, he himself, with the experience that he has and has heard from the apostolic context, because of the aggressiveness that he sees that I move in constantly, now is when he says, now I understand why he's always so aggressive and with a constant battle and let's go and everything. It's like, because I walk around in violence. I walk around uncomfortable because you can't go to the demons with love. So I'm always uncomfortable. I'm always upset. Like, what are we going to do? It's not a game, because the spiritual world is not a game. And if you take a false step, you believe the lies of the enemy. So what Alfie's saying, what I've seen for a number of years, now I understand it's true, that our battle is not against flesh and blood. So Lewis says he had to live through it in the moment to understand it. So Apostle says, I don't want to give details of what he's talking about. But all I'm going to say is that the project, it literally got destroyed. It got damaged completely. All the work that was done. And what everybody saw during that transmission was not going to be seen. That's it. A few days before, as broadcasting, everything got destroyed, got damaged, and there was not going to be a transmission. Something that cost months and months of a whole body that has been preparing for a year, all of a sudden everything got damaged. Just like that. Now ask me how did we come through? We united with that same body and we said we're gonna move forward and we're gonna do it together. Something that we couldn't even think about, because if we thought about it, we weren't gonna do it. No, we said let's do it all over again. How? We're gonna do it all over again. Everybody, we're gonna do this here, there, and everybody just came together and distributed the work, and it was done. And you know what happened? That it came out better than the first time it was done. It was gonna come out good, but we came out perfect. Because of that attitude, Alfie says, of, of sticking through. Of course, Apostle says, and it's powerful because when you fulfill the objective, the sponsoring of the Spirit comes. The whole team saw the Spirit. Everybody was blessed. Everybody was prospered. But look how amazing. I never imagined that the dead were going to rise up. I'm not talking about Alfie. I'm not saying it because of Alfie. I have many stories that are coming to mind right now. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the powerful thing of the word. That's why we have to be constant. When you connect to a word, the word gives you that faith that's alive. It's not a faith that's simply... Because wait, there's something about faith that I want you to understand, and it's something that has to do with the apostolic. The apostolic has a gift of faith. You know what a gift of faith is? It transmits faith. It passes it through. It connects others to faith, and it rises them up. It rises up what is static, dead, because it just passes that faith through. And that is a person that is connected to the Spirit. That is why when you have so much, so many postures on and so many fronts and masks on, you cannot enjoy that well. Because the Spirit doesn't work with mixtures. See how Alfie began speaking, saying, I had heard and I had seen, but now I saw what I've always heard of. So now it's not that I heard it, it's that I myself experienced it. So that faith that he always connected to, a situation had to happen in order for this to click. Now I understand why this whole mess happened. Now everything makes sense. Now I'm understanding why this happened. Because now, with Alfie highlighting this, I say, wow. And with the experience that he received independently from the fact that all the reports come my way. But it's amazing that he's the one bringing this up. Because we know how each child of God, one way or another, the Holy Spirit is after them. Because the only one that is going to guide us to all truth is the Spirit. So what happens? As children, we make things tough for the Holy Spirit. And one of the things that, one of the ways in which we do that is the Spirit moves through the Word. So we were taught about the Spirit that was connected to emotion, the one that was waiting on God. But what we teach you is the Spirit that connects to the Word, that through the Word you'll see the manifestation of what he says. And if you see what Alfie says, he said, I had heard, I had seen, I had heard. Now, that which he had heard and seen was sown in him. And he was able to move and work through this because of what was sown in him. So now he could say, I had heard, but I didn't understand. But now my eyes can see you. That's strong, Alfie says. I'm going to say like Pastor Carolina said one time, you see, that's what I meant. Because he grabs the scrambling that we have in our heads and he brings it out the way it needed to be said. That's why I said that you bring the mess, your experience, and then people are like, okay, but what was it that happened? So then I have to break it down point by point, layer by layer, until all of a sudden it makes sense. Oh, so that's what happened. Oh, that was amazing. Truly, when we talk about the experience in the mission, those that don't take on the mission don't have an experience. And they're going to have a monotonous and boring life. Okay? That's why it's so cool. And here we use the experience in the mission as like laughing and we're talking about faith and glory. But it's good for us to rejoice of the wonders that we enjoy how God uses his child. You know how good that is for you to know that you're a channel of blessing? That's something for you to enjoy. So the enemy can blow up
¿Ves lo bueno que es dejar que...
Because
Tú ves
the
lo bueno
joy
que es
of the
dejar que
Lord
el
is my
ministerio te
strength.
exponga?
And
Tú
the
ves lo
joy
bueno es,
comes
dime
from
qué
you
dinero,
enjoying and seeing the
Alfie, que es
Spirit
una persona de una
manifesting
empresa que
His
gana
glory
muy
through
buen
you.
dinero,
When you are a
pregúntale si hay
person where the
dinero que
Spirit
le llene lo que
constantly
él
got on
poder
top of
ver
you with
todo, no
depression, with
simplemente el logro,
fear,
ver la
insecurity,
oposición y
that
ver los
you
milagros, pero
were no
también ver
one.
el producto
And now
acabado,
you're
donde
enjoying
él
because you're
sabe,
seeing
y eso
miracles
yo me
and
lo usaba
wonders through a
mucho,
human,
porque yo hablaba
a
con el
common
coordinador
human.
general y yo decía,
You see
wow,
how good it
lo
is
que tú no
to
vas a creer, que esto
to let
quedó
the
con la
ministry expose
perfección
you. You see how good it is.
de los grandes
What
producciones, que
sort of
ellos se atreven hasta a
money?
hacer ese tipo de montaje
Alfie,
para
that
que
is
sea
a guy that
perfecto hasta
makes good money.
el mismo
Ask him
sonido.
if there's any money that can
Oye, yo
fill
le dije,
what
acabamos de hacer
what
algo
it
con
produces
los
in him
códigos, con el
to
estándar
see not just
internacional,
the
de
accomplishment but the
montar y hacer
position and the
doblaje
miracle,
encima.
but then seeing the end result.
Y ahora que
Because I was
tengo a alguien
talking
que sabe
to the
mucho de
general
ese tema porque es
coordinator,
su área, él sabe que es
and
verdad.
I was
Terminamos
saying,
teniendo un
you won't
producto de
believe that
calidad
this came out
con el
with the
estándar
perfection of the
internacional.
great production.
Óyeme, y
The
si
great
la gente
productions in
supiera
Hollywood.
simplemente,
I
uso
told
el
them
término
we
simple
just did something
porque nosotros
fulfilling
no
the
pretendemos otra cosa,
standard, the international standard
simplemente para que sea para
of
Dios, no
doubling things up.
con
And now
ningún...
that I have
otro
Alfie
propósito
No,
that
adicional.
no,
knows a lot
no
about
hay un
this, he
propósito
knows that
hasta
this
de
is
que,
true.
mira, vamos a
We ended up
frontear, vamos a
having a
agarrar para que lo
quality
vean.
product
No, no,
with the
tranquilamente,
international
porque eso
standard.
es un
And
decreto
if people knew,
donde estamos mostrando,
I use
aunque la gente ve todo
the
bonito,
term
que
simply because
cantan,
we don't pretend
que
anything other than
sonido
that.
musical,
Simply for
luces,
this to
vestuario, lo que
be for
sea,
God,
si la gente supiera que cada
with no
elemento del
other
que tus
purpose.
ojos ven, hay
There's
una
no other
exaltación a Dios de
purpose of
sacrificio y
even,
trabajo,
okay,
de
let's show off for people to
meses
see.
de
No, no, no,
trabajo.
no, no.
Incluso ahí
Because
hay la
this is a
siembra de
decree
todo un
where we are
ministerio completo.
showing, even
Ahí
though
está la
people
semilla
see
de
everything
cada uno de
beautiful,
los
that
miembros de
people
este ministerio.
sing, that the
Ahí
sound,
todo lo que tú
that
estás
the
viendo, ahí cada
lights,
miembro
the
tiene que
outfits,
decir,
but
yo
if
fui
people
parte de
knew
eso. Aquí no hay un
that
miembro del
every
ministerio que no
element that
puede decir yo
I
soy parte de
see,
eso. Yo soy
there's an
parte de eso.
exaltation
Usted es
to
parte de
God
que eso
of
se logre.
sacrifice and
¿Y sabe qué se
work
llama eso?
of many, many
Óyeme,
months
eso lo
of
estamos
work,
haciendo es para decir lo
even
que
the
Dios ha hecho con nuestra
sowing
vida.
of a whole
Que
complete
ha llenado
ministry,
nuestra vida de
the
gozo.
seed of each
Y
one of
que
the
hoy
members of
nosotros
this
podemos
ministry.
tener en esos
Everything you
eventos
see there,
personas de
every
diferentes
member is
países.
saying, yeah, I was
En
part of
esos
that.
eventos se trasladan más de
Tell
10
me of a
personas,
member
muchos,
of a
más de
ministry
10,
that
más de,
can't
en
say
este
I was
hubo más de 10,
a
pero en el
part of that,
momento anterior
because
fue
you're
más de
part of that
20
being fulfilled.
personas habían, ¿entiendes?
And
Que
we're
se
doing
trasladan
that in order to say
internacionalmente
what God has done with our
solamente
lives,
para estar en ese
that
evento.
He has filled our
Así que
lives
son
with
una
joy,
producción
and
internacional
that today
donde
we
todos
can
aunamos
have in
esfuerzos
those
solamente
events
para
people from
mostrar
different
lo que es un
countries.
cuerpo.
Totalmente.
In
Un
those
cuerpo
events,
que
more than 10 people.
independiente éramos nada,
In this one
pero
was more than
juntos
10, but it
vencemos
was
al
more than 20
Hades.
before
Uf,
that
wow.
bring
Así
themselves
que si usted
internationally
quiere
just
saber
to
qué es lo
be
que
in
es
that event.
intercesión, eso que usted ve en
So
Jesús
this is
Sana,
an
esa
international
es la
production
convocatoria
where
donde
we all unite
intercedemos
efforts
y estamos
just to
proclamando y
show
declarando a
what a
través de los
body is.
cánticos, de las
A
expresiones, de la
body
declaración
that
profética, a
independently
través de
we're
todas las
nothing,
artes,
but together
diciendo la
we
grandeza,
defeat Hades.
como muchos jóvenes,
So
como muchas
if you want to
parejas, como
know
muchas
what
familias
intercession is, what
destruidas,
you see in
mírenlo
Rosh
ahora,
Hashanah,
restaurada,
that
bendecida,
is the
personas que todavía en medio de su
calling
batalla
where we
vienen y
intercede and we
fluyen
proclaim and
contra
declare
todo
through the songs,
pronóstico,
through the
como
expressions,
dice
through the
Alfie.
prophetic
Si
declaration,
supieran
through
todos
all
los
the different
pronósticos
arts, we
contrarios
are
que teníamos,
saying
un
the
experto
greatness.
está diciendo,
How
me dio
many
miedo, qué
young
difícil
people,
me
many
pasó.
couples, many
En verdad
families
tiré
were
la toalla porque
destroyed
sé
and
que no
now
iba a
they're
pasar nada,
restored
no
and
se podía
blessed.
lograr.
People
Y él
that
vio
still in the
Dios
midst of
que
their
se hizo.
battles, they come and they flow
Está fuerte que él lo
against
diga.
all forecasts.
Está
Claro,
fuerte que
Like
lo
por eso
diga.
no me
Alfie says,
sorprende que sale con ese
if
tema,
they
no lo estamos
knew
esperando, como
the
nunca esperamos a
forecast,
nadie que
the
lo haga.
contrary forecast
Pero
we
mira
had,
como yo le
an
estoy
expert is
desglosando y
saying, I was
dándole ya
afraid, it was
la
hard.
dimensión
I
a
wanted
lo
to
que
throw in the
significa
towel, but
el uno conectar
he
con
said
las
it was
enviaciones
done.
del ministerio.
It's
Sí.
Por eso es
strong
que
for him to say
valeroso
that, Lewis says.
asumir
That's
el
why
llamado.
Apostle says, that's why I'm
Es
surprised that he's bringing this
valeroso
up.
el que nosotros
But look how I'm
conectemos de
breaking
una
it
forma u
down
otra.
and giving it the
Todo el mundo
dimension
debería
to
decirle
what
a
it
cualquier área
means
que trabaja del
for
ministerio,
you
estoy
to
aquí.
connect
Ven,
with
yo
the
tengo 100
sending of
horas
the
más.
ministry.
Vamos a apoyar.
That's
Nosotros
why it's valuable
necesitamos
to take on
más
the calling.
hijos que se
It is
agreguen a la
valuable
misión. Porque
for us
muchos
to
es la mies
connect
y pocos los
one way or
obreros.
another.
Y
Totalmente.
nosotros tenemos que
Everybody should
entender
tell
el llamado.
everybody else
Porque
in
no
any
hay
area
forma,
that they work in
repito,
the
de tener una
ministry, I'm
experiencia
here. I
si no es
I have
asumiendo la
another
misión.
power, let me support.
Por eso se
We
llama
need more
este
children
programa
that jump on the
Experiencia en
mission
la Misión.
because the work is much and the
A mí me
workers are
encanta ese
few.
tipo de experiencia. Yo
And
me pongo
we
en la
have to
posición de la persona,
understand
ya
the
yo estuve en
calling.
esa misión.
Claro,
because
es que
there's
como
no
se,
way, I
mira como
repeat, to have an
Albert está hablando de
experience
experiencia,
if he's not
pero ¿qué
taking on a
pasa?
mission.
Todo el mundo, de
That's
la
why
experiencia que
this
él
is
habló,
called
todo el mundo fue partícipe.
experience in the mission.
Y cada quien tuvo
I
una
was in that
situación
mission, Louis
delicada.
says.
Y a
Of
cada quien
course,
se le
Apostle
puso
says.
negro la
Alfie
noche.
worked in the mission, but
Se le puso
from the
oscura.
experience that he spoke,
Todo el
everyone
mundo.
was a participant
Entonces,
in.
me interesó
Everyone
mucho
had a
porque
delicate
mostrando el
situation.
background de Alfie, de que en su
And,
área,
and
con
for
tanta
everyone, the
experiencia,
situation got bleak,
se le desequilibró
got
todo.
dark.
Y en pocas
Everybody.
palabras, todo quedó
So
como que,
I
y
liked
entonces
it
no se logró,
because
se va a
sharing
perder
his
todo.
background, that in
¿Me
his
entiendes?
area
Y
with a
de
lot of
la nada,
experience,
Dios levantar, y no
he
solamente
even
que,
got out of balance.
que se
And
logró,
everything
sino
was like,
que
okay, so what are we
superó
going to do?
lo que se
Everything's
había
going
hecho.
to go to waste? And from nothing, for God to rise
Una
up,
vez yo le había mencionado.
but not
"Mira,
even
que
that
ocurre
we
este
got it
tipo de
done, but
cosas", ¿se
it
acuerda?
actually
Exacto,
surpassed what had been done
exacto.
before.
Cuando
Estando
viene,
un,
So Louis says,
cuando
one
viene
time I
esa misión que
mentioned to
se
you, know,
levanta,
like I knew these sort of
hay un
things
humo
happen,
negro que tú no puedes ver nada. Me
but
encanta cuando aparecen eso,
when
porque el
this sort
producto
of
final
mission
de lo
come
que el
up, it's like
Espíritu
there's a black
fluye a
smoke that
través
you
de cada
can't see
miembro de los que
anything.
están en la misión,
I like it
que al
when
final
it happens
es lo
because then
máximo.
the end
¿Sabe que
result,
Luis
when
habla
you
así
see
porque él
God
nació viendo
flow
este tipo de
through,
batalla? Dice, a mí me encanta porque
it's
dice,
amazing. It's
eso es lo que yo he
amazing.
visto toda mi vida.
You know, Louis talks about this because he was
Y él
raised in
dice
this
como que,
ministry
qué extraño este
facing these
muchacho.
sort of battles. So this is what he's seen his whole life. And Alfie's like, this is normal for
Sí,
me.
realmente,
Yeah, so
tú sabes que la apostólica es bien
truly,
frívolo con el tema
you know, the apostolic
de
is
la
very
oposición.
frivolous with the
Yo,
matter of
bueno, tú has
opposition.
estado conmigo en misiones internacionales y has visto.
You've been with me in
Que tú has visto
international
blue
missions,
band y tú me
Louis,
ves a
and
mí
you've
como
seen me at peace in the
que
midst
nada
of whatever is
pasó.
happening, like nothing's happened.
Exacto.
Just another day.
Que el avión no va a
Normal.
bajar. ¿Quién? ¿Avión a quién? No, vamos, sigamos por
Oh,
aquí.
the plane is going to
Y
leave us.
entrando
What
en
plane is
aviones
going to
que
leave
ya
us?
no, que no pueden, que no qué.
And everybody's saying, no, you're not going to be able to board. And I'm like, what?
¿Cómo así?
Louis says, you know, I need a little longer to be able to be at that point where nothing messes with me. Because he just remains calm. Doesn't matter what's happening.
Eso yo
He just
con
says, you
Luis
want to see
Miguel, ¿sabes?
miracles
Pero
and
que era
wonders,
nuevo.
and pay
Claro que
attention.
porque tú
Of
estás
course,
acostumbrado a estar
this
en el
is
tema
Louis
ministerial
traveling with
territorial
me
y tú
because he's
conoces
used
eso,
to
pero tú
being
te
in the
acuerdas de que a mí me gusta,
ministerial
a mí me
here,
gusta, hasta
you
que
know,
tú
and
fuiste a
he
hablar conmigo.
enjoys it. But when he traveled
Ay,
with
no le
me,
gustó ni
it was a
nada, le
different
gustó.
story. He
Ay,
didn't like
dijo,
it.
no, esto es
And he
diferente, esto es
said,
otra
this is
dimensión.
different. This is another dimension.
At
Then at the end, I enjoyed it.
Cuando tú viste el Dios, el Dios
When you
internacional,
saw the international
él
God
conoció el Dios
versus the
dominicano,
national
pero el
God,
internacional
he
dijo,
knows the
pero
Dominican
miren, aquí
God,
también es heavy.
but he realized he realized how things
Qué poderoso cuando
work
uno
differently.
aprende
So
de que
Apostle
no
says,
estamos
how
solos. Por eso es que
powerful
es tan
when we learn
importante.
that we're not
Siempre
alone.
hemos
That's
dicho
why
que hasta
it's
que
so
tú no te
important. And
valores
we've
como
always
Dios
said that
Padre te
until you
valora,
value yourself the way God
nosotros no
values you,
vamos a conocer al Padre.
you're not going to know the
En pocas
Father.
palabras, esa seguridad
In
que
a
tú
few words,
ves
that
tiene que
security that
ver
you see
con
has
tú
to do
conocer al
with you
Padre por la
knowing the
forma como
Father,
tú te has valorado.
the way that you value yourself.
Entonces, yo sé que conmigo no puede
So
haber
I
nada.
know that with me,
Porque dime tú,
nothing can
si
happen.
yo que le sirvo y trabajo para él,
Because
¿tú
if
crees
I serve him and I
que algo
work for
puede
him,
pasar?
do you think something can
Ahora,
happen?
vamos a estar
Now,
claros. Yo
let's
no
be
sé con qué
clear.
tú estabas que tenía tanto
I
miedo.
don't know what you were doing that you were so afraid.
Perdóname, ¿viste? Pero
Sorry,
yo
Louis.
sé.
Ese es otro tema.
But I know
Eso es otro tema. Hablando para el
this
mundo
is
local.
another
Pues sí,
topic.
el
This is
tema
another
es que
topic.
yo
The
estoy
topic
trabajando para
is
él. Y si el jefe
that I'm
mío
working
dice,
for him.
no te
And
ven
if
en
the
ese avión,
boss
no montes
says,
en el avión.
you're not going on
Sí,
that
sí,
plane,
sí.
then I don't go on that
Incluso
plane.
hoy me escribía alguien, me escribió alguien
Furthermore, today somebody wrote to me
que lo dejó un avión.
that a
Y
plane left
contento me
him.
decía,
And he
aquí el
was
avión
happy.
me
He said,
dejó. Y he
the plane
aprendido
left
de usted
me,
a disfrutar.
and I've learned from
Déjame
you to
tomarme
enjoy.
un tour
Let
aquí en
me
este
go
estado que
take a
estoy, en este
tour
país,
from
y
this
después voy
state,
más
this
adelante.
country that I'm in,
Chile,
and then I'll go
O
in the
sea,
next flight.
entendió que me dejó,
He
esto me
understood
voy a
that the
salir
plane left me
en
then.
10, 11 horas después, pero déjame yo dar
Maybe
una
I'm going to
vuelta en la
leave 10,
ciudad
11
y a
hours
comer
later,
algo,
but
a
I'm
hacer
going
una
to go
cuanta cosa,
enjoy
y se
myself
disfrutó
and
el
go
viaje.
eat something, and he
Nada.
enjoyed
O
the
sea,
place.
no lo vio ya, pero ¿por qué? Porque ha
They
estado
didn't
conmigo
see it as a
en
problem.
misiones
Why? Because it's
que
been with me in
cuando
missions
no ha dejado, no,
where
no un
where
avión,
we've gotten
3
left
aviones nos ha
behind.
dejado.
You know, like 3 planes have left
Ajá.
us.
O sea, que nos dejó uno, el otro está
One
lleno, el otro que íbamos
time
tampoco está lleno,
we
saben, esperen,
we got
esperen,
left, and
esperen.
the other
Y
plane
vino otro
was
tranquilo, vamos a un restaurante a comer.
full,
Y
and then
hablar
something
de
else, and I was
todo,
like, let's go to a restaurant,
chilling, bien nice.
chilling.
Pero es por la confianza
But it's because of the
del
trust
valor que
of
tú
the
sabes que Dios te
value
dio.
that you know God
Y
has
cuando tú sabes
of
que
you.
Él te valora,
And when you know
entonces
that He
tú lo comienzas a
values you, then you know him.
Eso es lo importante, entiéndalo bien. No
That
un
is
tema
what's
de
important.
una
Understand that.
super fe. No,
It's
es
not
del
a
amor
super
que yo sé que él
faith.
me tiene.
It's the love
Del
that I know he
cuidado
has
que yo
for
sé que
me.
él me tiene.
The care that I know he
Así que
has
por
for
eso
me.
que este mismo
So
evento en el que Alfie
that's
hace la
why
mención,
this event himself,
sabemos
the
con el
event
amor y
that
la
he was
entrega que
speaking
cada
of,
miembro,
we
cada
know
líder,
the
cada
love
pastor
and the surrender
en el
that
tú no
each
te
leader
imaginas
and
las
each
experiencias de
pastor
cada
puts
pastor,
into
cómo
it.
se
You don't know
entregan,
the experiences
cómo
of each
cada quien
person,
tiene un área.
what they
Mira,
surrender, how
el
everybody has an
90% del
area.
pastorado nadie lo está viendo.
90% of the
¿Me
pastors
entiendes?
are
Tú vienes a ver
not,
casi
you're
en los
not
temas de
seeing,
arte, de
you're
cámara,
not
en este tipo de
seeing them
redes
in
sociales.
front of the
Pero
cameras.
todo el mundo tiene
But
delegado en sus hombros
everybody
muchas cosas. Y aunque
has
parece
a
que no
burden
tiene,
on their
el
shoulders. And
Espíritu
even
se
if it
encarga de
doesn't seem
ponerle
that they
mucho
do, the
trabajo,
Spirit
porque
makes
él
sure to put a lot
mismo
of work on them
personal
because He
escoge
Himself
a quien quiere en cada
chooses
área.
who He wants in each
Oigan
area.
esto,
Listen
él
to
se
me well.
encarga de mover la
He
ficha. A
makes
ti te
sure
quiero
to
en esto, a ti en
move
esto.
the
La gente
pieces.
piensa que
I
el
want you
apóstol que
here, I
lo
want
elige.
here.
No,
People
es el
think it's
mismo
apostle that
Espíritu.
chooses. No, it's the
¿Sabes?
Spirit
Y yo dejo que
Himself.
eso fluya así
And I
mismo.
allow that to flow.
Y todo el que es elegido
And everyone that
disfruta
is
lo que
chosen
aprende mucho de lo que está pasando,
enjoys
así como dice Alfie,
and
lo
learns
capta
a
y
lot
dice,
from what is
wow,
happening.
mira ese encuentro,
Like
porque
Alfie's
eso que Alfie
saying,
lo ve como
look,
encuentro.
because
Uno
that's
se
what
imagina
happened.
que una
Lewis had
batalla
an
y que
encounter.
después se convirtió en una
And
gran
who imagines
gloria.
first it was a
Al
battle
final
and
eso
then
a
it
él
turned
lo
into a
iba
glory?
a terminar de tener ese encuentro,
And who
del
knew that
cual
at the
de
end he was going
primera
to
persona lo
have
digo, yo
the
estaba esperando esos
encounter
encuentros.
that
¿Por qué? Porque
happened
el
at the
tipo
end?
de persona que es él como
Because the type of
talento,
person that he
como
is,
punta de
as a
lanza en el área de
talent,
televisión,
as a
tú dices,
point of
wow, qué bueno,
arrow,
porque
you say,
para este
wow, it's
tipo
great.
de
Because
territorios, dígase
for this
televisión,
sort of
comunicación,
territory,
hay
meaning
que
television,
ser demasiado
communication,
violento.
you have to be
Y tú que
violent.
vienes caminando con
And
nosotros en los
you
últimos
that
años,
have also
sabes,
been working with us the past
que has
few
sido un
years,
guerrero.
Louis, you've been
No
a
iba a decir guerrero,
warrior.
entonces no es guerrero. Pero,
You know, don't
¿eh?
don't hold
Está
on to
bien,
that,
está
okay?
bien, continúe.
Don't let it get to your head.
Esto es sin hiel.
This is,
Esto es
you
sin
have to
hiel.
be cold.
Porque la verdad
Because
que no es
the
fácil
truth is that it's not easy
romper para que
to-
llamar la atención a lo de la casa.
to
Conecta,
push
escucha la
through so
palabra, escucha el
that
mensaje.
those of the house can
Porque
connect and get the message.
escuchar una palabra no adulterada,
Because to hear
eso es algo que
unadulterated word,
captar la atención,
to
incluso,
catch
como
the
decimos
attention,
nosotros, de la
like
casa y
we
para la
say,
casa,
from the
captar
house
la
and for the
atención
house, to
de donde
catch
hay
the
derecho, es
attention
un proceso.
where you have the legal right,
Porque
that's a
están
process.
entretenidos
Because
con
they are
tantas
entertained
cosas
with so many
y
things,
no están conectando de
and
la
they're
única
not
fuente que
connecting
legalmente
to the
van
only
a
fountain,
recibir
the only
su
source that they're
liberación
going to
y
receive their
van
freedom,
a recibir lo
and they're
que
going
es
to receive
integralmente
what
toda la
integrally
exposición al propósito de Dios en su vida.
will expose them
¿Ok?
to the purpose of God in their lives.
Claro.
So
Así
it is
que
good
qué
that
bueno
we
que ya
are
nosotros
that we already
sabemos
know
que
that
todo
everything
lo
that is
que
done
se
for the
hace para el
kingdom
reino
is in the
es
midst
en
of a lot
medio de
of
mucha
violence.
violencia. Y bien
And Jesus said
claro
it
dijo
clearly, in
Jesús,
the world
en
you
el
will have
mundo
afflictions,
tendréis aflicción,
but trust,
pero confiad,
I have
yo
conquered
he
the
vencido
world.
al mundo.
Gracias por sintonizar nuestro podcast Misión GJ. Nos vemos en un próximo episodio.